So we're going to begin to make some blend shapes. The first thing I'm going to do is create a simple object here. I'm going to frame that object of a sphere, polysphere. Nothing special about it, but I can take this sphere and change it. So the first thing that I can go into, and actually I'm going to do this whole thing. I'm going to make a cube, and I'm just going to smooth that cube out. So my polygon menu set, let's go to mesh, smooth, kind of like I did in class. I'm going to come down to the inputs, click on poly smooth face 1, change the divisions to maybe 5. It's a little high poly now, but that's okay. I actually did 4. 4 is okay. It won't let me do 5. But you could also add another poly smooth face if you like, or poly smooth node, and go another 4 divisions. I don't really recommend it. At that point you might as well be using Mudbox or ZBrush. And I'm going to take this object and change the name. Actually, we did a star in class, so I do star. So I'm going to duplicate this thing, and you're going to see if I bring my grid back, display grid, right now it's at the center of the grid, I can move this upward, and I'm going to duplicate this. So if you're happy with something in the current state, you do want to freeze the transformations and stuff right now. So I will go up to modify down to freeze transformations. I can also delete the history, so edit down to delete by type and delete the history. Now I can duplicate this object, going to edit down to duplicate, move this thing over. Pretty good. It doesn't have to be too far over. And I'm going to name this thing into star, because the blend shape is going to take the name of the object that I am using to deform the other object. Okay, so we have into star, we have the main character, the main little guy here, which is star. And if I select both of them, you're going to see that they are exactly the same. This is how this works. We take the vertices, and when we change the vertices, we allow the object to look at the changed object. So this is our original, for instance. It has the same layout, same vertices, same everything as this duplicated object. The duplicated object is going to be the one that will change. This one will check the topology and check the way that the vertices and stuff are laid out, and that's how the information is going to go across from the blend shape into the original. So you don't want to make any different additions to this object here. This is the duplicate. You don't want to do any extrusions, nothing like that. Cutting edges, adding edges, smoothing out, nothing like that, because it needs to be the same as the original. I'm going to take the duplicate here, and I'm going to double click my move tool, and I'm going to go down to the soft select. When I turn on soft select, it's basically going to have this ramp as a fall off color. We could change the colors, we could change the curve. That's a little more in depth about than I want to go for this tutorial, but if we look at this, we see that black is going to be where there's no effect or very little effect. Right in this area there's very little effect. Black, pure black, will be no effect. Red's going to be medium effect, and yellow is going to be the hot spot. That's going to be the most effect that we have on an object or components or something like that when we select it. I'm also going to scroll down, and I'm going to turn on reflection. And under the reflection settings, I'm going to set it to X, because I'm modeling this thing from, I guess I didn't model it from the front. Must have had my camera turned. I do like to keep things from the front, so I can take this into star, and I'm going to zero out the translations. That just moves it back to where the original was, and I'm just going to move it to the left. So I like to model from the front. You're going to see that a lot of people in the industry do it that way, and it allows you to know how your tools work. I mean, you can get used to modeling from the side and such, but for the most part, modeling from the front's a little more straightforward. Now, since if I deselect this and reselect this, I can look down here and see that my x-axis goes this way and my z goes this way. Now with my move tool selected or evoked, you're going to see that I do have the x handle selected right here. Normally it's red, but you can see that it's going this way. And the z handle is going this way. Okay, and this is because I haven't rotated the object. So these two correlate, and that indicates that since x on this side is the same as x on this side, in this case, for the object, the reflection settings based off the object are going to go in the reflection axis of x. So I'm going to right click on this object, go to vertex mode, select a vertice, and I see that my ramp is too high, and I'm going to change that. So I'm going to come up here, go to the fall off radius, type in 1. That still seems to be a little bit high. I can use a slider, but it's going to be very minimal changes here that I need to do. So I need something less than 4, so I'm going to try 0.3. And that actually doesn't look too bad. I can do 0.25 for the fall off. And you're going to see that when I start pulling this on one side, it pulls on the other. Okay. Now all I'm doing is deforming this to look kind of like a starfish. Or Patrick from SpongeBob. Actually, we can make something kind of like Patrick. So I'll click here. And when I get to the top version of this, I need to shift click, if I still have reflections on, to pull up the head. It must have been a little bit forward. It's got some back. So I'll select the object in object mode. Oh, and when you're done with that tool, you generally want to turn it off. So come over here to soft select, turn off soft select, and you may want to turn off reflections. I'm just going to close the tool, select the object, and I'm just going to scale it in a little bit. Actually, I'll leave it out like a chubby Patrick. Okay, now I did make changes to this, and I didn't freeze the transformations or anything like that, so I don't want to freeze the transformations. What I do want to do is add my blend shape. So I'm going to go up to the top here, drop this down, go to the animation menu set. You can hit F2 on your keyboard, and come up here to create deformers, and the first one that we're going to deal with is called blend shape. I'm going to go to the option box, and we're just going to use the default settings. So I'm going to reset my settings because I was rigging earlier and I changed some of my settings. So edit down to reset settings. I'm going to hit, I can't hit create because what I do need to do is select my original. So select first the duplicate. That's this one right here. Little Patrick Star, right? Patrick Star lookalike, the stand-in. Shift select the original object, and the original object always has to be last because you can have multiple duplicates with a bunch of little intricate changes. You would select them first, shift select this last, and then create your blend shape. Now when I select this object, I can come over here to the side in the channel box and scroll down, come to blend shape, click on into star, and I just labeled it so that I knew what it was. It's going to change from a ball into star. So I select the text with my left mouse button, come over here into my work area, hold down my middle mouse button, and you can see when I drag to the positive value of 1, it is exactly like this one here. And what we would do is we could put all of our blend shapes in a layer and then hide that layer, or we could just select them and hide them. But I'm not really done with this. So what I'm going to do is I can either duplicate this, or I can duplicate the original again, Control D this time, and I'll move it over, and I'm going to make another basic change, and I'm going to add it to this so that it's under the same blend shape. Because if we add another blend shape where you see this, let me select the original character, where you see the blend shape 1, we're going to have a blend shape 2, and then we're going to have to click on 2 different nodes if we're going to animate them from inside of the inputs right here in the channel box. Otherwise, we're going to bring up another slider, and you're going to see that we're going to have rows for that slider. And if we keep adding, we'll keep getting separate rows. So you'll see that here in a sec, and I'm going to take this object, I'm going to go to the top here, and I'm just going to change it a little bit by selecting my, let me do the sculpt geometry tool this time. So I'm going to go to my polygons menu set, F3 on your keyboard, go to mesh, down to sculpt geometry tool option box, right? And we were using this one in class, so this is kind of a quick modeling tool. I'm just scaling the brush size down. It's really large, so I'm going to hit 1. It's still pretty big. Oops. So let's take it down a bit. Alright. And we can do that little example in class. I'm going to come down to my stroke, click it, and do reflection. And it looks like X reflection's already on. So the first thing I'll do is come up here and I'll push in part of the settings that's a little too hard. I'm going to put the opacity down to 0.1, see if that'll work for me. It works pretty good. I can have it pull. Whoa, a little much. I'll undo that, and I'll put this opacity to 0.01. Change my brush size. There we go. Okay, and we can switch in between the smooth brush right here to smooth down this geometry as we work. Now, you want to do this as you work so that you smooth the geometry out before you get to the point of no return where you pull these out too far and it's just going to be more of a headache to work with. So you can make something, and I suggest you get a tablet because tablets work really well, this type of deal. Okay, and we were making a pretty creepy face last time, so you can do whatever you like. This looks like starting to become a witch or something. I have no idea. Doesn't really matter. Just so that you know that you can use your different tools that you've learned in the modeling class, which you should have taken before this class, and then you can apply them in different ways. Anyway, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to hit Q to go to my selection tool, close my tools, like that. Select this creepy face. The last creepy face was a lot better than this creepy face. This one's just not even semi-creepy. It's just looks like a rotten potato or something. Anyhow, I'm going to select it, shift select my original, and this time instead of going up to, and I need to still go to my animation menu set, but instead of going to create a deformer, I am going to edit a deformer that's already there basically. So I know that I have one blend shape, so I'm going to go up to edit deformer down to blend shape, and I'm going to add to the previous blend shape. So when I click on add, you're going to see that right here it looks as though it's done it, and I'm going to come down, click on blend shape, and you're going to see I don't see anything. I don't see a thing. Oh, that's because I have both of these selected. So select the original, click on blend shape 1, and I still only have Into Star. Why is this? What is going on, man? Let's try this again. Oh, I know. I had different settings on there. So what I'm going to do is undo and look at this little black bar down here until I see that blend shape undone. Okay, I undid the add blend shape. I need to go reset those tools because, again, if you remember, what I did is I was working with what was I doing? I was working with the skeleton tool and doing all that stuff for creating a rig, and what I did is I changed some of the settings on there for another tutorial. So you're going to run into this at the school if you don't either reset the computer or reset your tools. So I'm going to go up to edit deformer and down to blend shape. And instead of just adding it, I'm going to go to the option box, reset my tool to edit reset settings. And I can specify a node or specify a node. I can click specify node, and I want to add it to blend shape 1 because we can have multiple blend shapes for multiple purposes. So I'm just going to click on that, specify node, add it to blend shape 1. I'll hit apply and close, and now let's see if that did it. Yes, there's the creepy face right there. So I'll select it, hold down my middle mouse button, drag it. You see I get the creepy face. But the nice thing is that I could also come into the into star to shape it into a star, and it's actually going to blend the two up to a point. So I could have a little star like Patrick-like character, and I can work with the creepy face. So we can get a little ghosting pop out. Maybe it's a Halloween special. Patrick is possessed by a rotten potato. And anyhow, it works pretty cool. It looks pretty nice, and you can add even more to this. The other way for animating is perfect because we can now take these two and we can put them in a layer and hide them by going like this. I clicked on that little icon there, and it made a layer and it added those objects to the layer, and I could just turn the visibility off. Double click the layer, name it blend shapes or blend shape objects. Save it, and we could also do the R just to reference it if we did turn it back on. That way we can't select them, we can't change them. Oh, speaking about changing them, just real quick, if I come over here to either one of these, like I'll take the creepy face, right? And I wanted to do any changes to this, it'll update this one on the fly. So if I come back here and I get my sculpt geometry tool again, I got like a little butt crack right here, right? That's a horrible butt crack. Anyway, you guys can use the tool to change the shape on the fly. So as you're sculpting, you can get a real basic shape when it comes to making your characters. That's looking pretty good, actually. Getting little plumbers, bubble booty, right? And you're seeing that the changes are happening right on the fly here. Okay, so that's another nice feature to the blend shapes, and we could always clean them up. Like this is looking a bit harsh, so I can hold shift and start smoothing out a little bit. Maybe I want it to really be a little more present, so I'm just gonna pop this out a bit, right? Yeah, so basically I think you guys get the idea at this point. What I'm going to do now is I'll just put those as references, hide them. So I'll turn the visibility off. This means reference mode, little r. There we go. And what I can do is show you guys that we can use sliders to key these. So if we go up to the window at the very top, down to the animation editor, and come over to what is called the blend shape, just after what we've been naming our objects, these are blend shapes we're working with. I'm going to click on that and you're going to get the sliders. Now this is what I was saying here. We have the two sliders right next to each other. We have the little creepy face and we have the into star, and we can make some edits at a certain point up to here. And if we had some other ones that we added just by selecting one of the new ones, the new blend shapes, and we're going to add it to this guy, and we said create deformer, if we create another blend shape, for instance, by going up to create deformer down to blend shape, it would add another row right here of blend shapes. It'll say blend shape 2, and it'll have whatever objects are added to blend shape 2. You could use that if you like, and it's all dependent on what you're going to be using it for. Like maybe it's going to be facial movements or features, or maybe you're going to do a series of this creepy thing to animate in between all of the different creepy rotten potato things. And maybe you're going to do different star shapes. So you can have this little guy wave, you know, come down to one hand that's pulled out this way, one that's pulled up this way, and then the one in between, and have this going on. Either way, you can use it for however you choose. The way that we did it, though, is we had gone to edit deformer, and since we went down to blend shape and add, we added the blend shape to blend shape 1. That way we have our little sliders here. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this, and you're going to see that we could easily key these things. So if I drag the sliders, it's going to be going between a value of 0 and 1. So we could type those in here. We can come down here to our channel box, and there's our blend shapes there. Okay. We could do it here. We can key them here, or we can key them right here. So at 1, I'm on frame 1. I can hit the key. It's that simple. Now you're going to see that these two are keyed. Can drag over to frame 12, and maybe I'm going to have, actually I'll go 6 since we're 24 base right here. I'm going to have the star come up like this. I'm going to key it. Actually I'll key both. Go to 12, have the creepy face show, key both. Go up to around 18. I'll have the star go away, key both. And then to 24, I'll have it go back to a ball and key both. That way when I play it back, we have this going on. Now just like anything else, we have keys. So you can move your keys to change the timing. You can delete the keys, copy and paste them, do animation holds and such. Go to your graph editor and change these things. And all the stuff that you've been learning from the very beginning is going to apply to any of this. So now you could also key this character to move around, because you're going to see that our translations and rotations, scale and all that are still wide open. So we do have the ability to have this character like run around and make controllers for it so it can be a part of something else, allowing us to use multiple pivot points, and we can do a lot of the different things that you guys have learned from the beginning. So I'm going to leave you with this. Just be creative, and I hope to see some really good stuff.